上個禮拜，美國政府差一點被戳塞了。
Another one.
And it was all mainly due to America's first family's new best friend, Elon Musk. And it revealed one very big question. Who exactly is running America now? And why in the hell was Elon Musk so against a bill that would have kept America from shutting down? Well, the answer to that question ultimately comes down to a relationship that Elon has had, cherished, and publicly shown his affection for a very long time. His investments in
China.
So hold on to your butts, because if things keep going the way they are now, then Elon could possibly be America's next biggest threat. So, to pay that Christmas spirit, a little bit of 爆米花 and maybe even some vodka-laced eggnog, as we take a look at the ultimate 預告片 of the 美國真人秀 Lost Festival 2025年第一季。During my country's origin story, there was one very important thing that the founding fathers stressed to the American people. Do not trust the federal government. And the Second Amendment of the American Constitution was a crucial tool in empowering Americans to express that distrust. Now, it ain't no secret that the federal government has a very long history of fuckery at the expense of the American people, most commonly abusing power and wasting our taxpayer money.
Bringing home the bacon. Politicians often brag about it when elections roll around, but government groups say it can become a problem when too much money is spent without much oversight.
A new report on so-called pork barrel spending says it's on the rise again.
A Washington-based think tank recently unveiled its annual Congressional Pig Book, which claims to show $14.7 billion in pork barrel spending, a 117% increase in earmarks from last year.
These fools waste so much of our money that we even came up with a proper term for it: pork barrel spending. And the most common and sneaky way to get that poke is to come up with long, numerous bills and secretly insert expenses and very devious laws.
When I ran for Congress in 2018, the debt was $21 trillion. And what we're doing right now is to continue to double down on the things that are destroying the republic. We are going to increase the debt ceiling, not just $4 trillion, that's false. We have spent $4.7 trillion in additional debt in the last 19 months. We're gonna increase the debt by $5 trillion. That's what's gonna happen right here by Republicans, increasing the debt $5 trillion. And what are you doing in the same bill? $110 billion unpaid for. Because you never have any ounce of self-respect to go out and campaign saying you're going to balance the budget, and then you come in here and pass $110 billion unpaid for.
Exhibit A, the 2009 American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, which slid in a line for $3.4 million in funding for a goddamn turtle tunnel.
The turtle crossed the road while in a unique tunnel built especially for them.
A special culvert system imported from Germany, designed specifically as a wildlife passage for crawling reptiles. In other words, a turtle tunnel.
So the tunnel presents an option for that turtle when it wants to cross the road.
The tunnel is higher than a normal drainage culvert to keep it dry, and it has skylights, if you will, slots that are even with the road surface to make it more tempting for cautious creatures.
The light is spread all the way through the tunnel so that turtle has a sense of something on the other side.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
And this type of sneaky goofiness doesn't just stop at pork barrel spending. They also have another technique known as a rider, which in Taiwan we call toutu, which is basically where they take an old piece of legislation and modify the powers of the government to give them total advantage and control. Exhibit B.
There is a new version which includes an amendment that would actually legalize the use of propaganda on the American public. It would basically nullify the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948, which specifically forbids information and psychological operations aimed at influencing U.S. opinion. What this basically means is they want to be able to use these, they're called information operations, to target not only foreign audiences, which we know happens and people here don't care about quite as much, but also to target domestic audiences. So we already have government and politicians influencing mainstream media. That we already have. But this provision would actually allow this to go even further and allow the government to create specific misinformation campaigns directly geared at the U.S. public without having to simply kind of run it through mainstream media.
So those who aren't familiar, the Smith Modernization Act was passed by Barack Obama, I think in 2014. And what it essentially did was it authorized U.S. media outlets to propagandize or lie to the American people legally. We used to only authorize that type of activity when we would perform a CIA regime change in another nation. Now it's just simply part of daily life. They've allowed it on us.
Back in 2013, when they modified the Smith-Mundt Act, this gave birth to everything you're seeing right now, known as
Fake news. It's fake. Phony. Fake.
So as you can see, the federal government has fully embraced the role of Zainan, trying to Zhonghao but ultimately they are secretly plotting to find any opportunity they can to slide one in any hole they can.
Hurry! Slide! Slide! Slide!
And just a couple of weeks ago, this is exactly what happened. The Congress CR bill, spanning 1,547 pages, filled with so many pork barrel spinning and riders you'd think it was a gangbang on the American taxpayers' pockets. And this bill very quickly caught the attention of the real-life Iron Man and America's new best friend, Elon Musk. So post his re-election, Trump did a lot of things that were unprecedented in American history. But one of them caught the attention of everyone, especially the federal government. The creation of DOGE, a non-government entity that could influence US policy directly.
Elon Musk and former GOP presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy were announced as leaders of a new Department of Government Efficiency.
Let's go.
But despite the name, it is not a government agency. Trump said in a statement that the pair will pave the way for my administration to dismantle government bureaucracy, slash excess regulations, cut wasteful expenditures, and restructure federal agencies. Musk has already commented on the appointment, posting on X, "Threat to democracy? Nope, threat to bureaucracy."
Now, back in the day, previous presidents did this secretly, hiding their non-elected US officials in the shadows, allowing them to completely influence US policy. You know, the deep state. But Trump has a different plan. It's like the deep state in your face. Now, DOGE is led by the world's richest man, in legitimate business anyway, Elon Musk, and his sidekick, a wealthy, anti-woke entrepreneur billionaire, Vivek Ramaswamy.
I want to be very clear about the scale that we're thinking here. We're not thinking small, we're playing big here, because we have a once-in-a-generation mandate right now. The American people have voted for drastic reform of the government, and our federal government is broken. It's no secret that it is a fourth branch of government, the administrative state that makes most of the rules, that creates a federal bureaucracy that's hampering our economy. So what do we want to do? We want to go in and slash and burn that bureaucracy to help Americans, stimulate the economy, and to restore self-governance again, Sean. The people we elect to run the government, they're not even the ones who run the government anymore. It's these unelected bureaucrats. Republican politicians have talked about fixing this for a long time, not with a lot of progress. So I do think it's going to take a couple of outsiders. Elon and I have built a great friendship over the last year. We're working together intensely, and we're not going to stop till we get the job done.
Now, if you ask me, being a part of DOGE might be one of the world's most dangerous jobs, yo. Because not only are you cutting government spending, you're also cutting departments, which means cutting the power on a lot of wealthy federal employees.
I think in general, the amount of waste that happens with the federal government is really staggering. It's a staggering amount of waste of taxpayer money. And if we're, for any given expenditure, we have to say, well, what does this do for the citizens of America? Like, how is this good for the people of America? It's their money. Like, for some weird reason, a lot of people in the sort of, state or whatever, the politicians, they seem to forget that the money being spent is your money. And if it's not being spent in a way that is beneficial to the American people, it's a misuse of the funds.
So Musk took a look at this bill and completely lost his shit, taking to X to post over 90 tweets, lobbying his followers and anyone who would listen to block this bill.
Now, Musk declared that any lawmaker who votes for the bill, quote, deserves to be voted out in 2 years.
The more I learn, the more obvious it becomes that this spending bill is a crime. It includes funding for the worst illegal censorship operation in the entire government. The serial entrepreneur's tirade seemingly paid off. He wrote, quote, "Your elected representatives have heard you, and now the terrible bill is dead. The voice of the people has triumphed.
And my man ain't lying, this bill was absolutely absurd. There was even a clause about EBT under the program SNAP, or Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, where benefits are distributed via EBT cards. Oh, I got it going home. When it comes to EBT cards in America, thieves are all over it like flies on shit.
Shade and Dave, the city says in the last month it has received more than 18,000 claims from people who have had their SNAP benefits and or their cash assistant benefits stolen off their EBT cards. And how this is all happening, they say, is really disturbing. They say they've given out more than $4.5 million in refunds to people. Now remember, that is taxpayer money.
From this DHS worker allegedly caught changing PIN numbers to buy groceries for herself, to skimmers waiting for you to swipe at the counter.
Last year alone, $60 million worth of food stamp fraud was reported in the United States.
Here's Karen Ransom, special agent in charge for the U.S. Secret Service.
But a lot of times what we see is that EBT and other payment card numbers are typically re-encoded onto phony cards that have magnetic strips that allows an individual other than a card holder to make purchases and in some cases withdraw cash.
And the thing is there's a very specific rule regarding the theft of these cards. If your EBT card gets stolen, they'll just replace it for you, no questions asked. All brought to you by the Biden administration back in 2022. So to put it simply, if you want to game the system, when the government gives you an EBT card, just claim somebody stole it, and they'll just replace it for you. And then the states can seek federal compensation. And do you know who happens to be one of the largest demographics who uses these EBT cards? Immigrant asylum seekers.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Now this is more than pork barrel spending, this is a straight up bacon roll spending, yo. But let's put that spending aside and focus on what I mentioned before, riders, which is where they smuggle in unrelated laws that have nothing to do with the bill itself. But here's the kicker, this rider has to do with a place where Elon Musk has some of his biggest investments.
China! China!
I think it's important for people on Taiwan to understand that the prospects of going to war with China over anything are going to be very grave for the United States. Americans are going to help those who help themselves in a way that's consistent with their interests. China is like a central interest, and if we let China take over Taiwan, that's going to have huge reverberating effects that are very negative. The Chinese are preparing for war. Whether they decide to go to war or not, I don't know, but they have all the indicators. So we need to be prepared as soon as, like right now. One of the things that I'm really trying to do is make it clear why it's in Americans' concrete self-interest to help Taiwan defend itself. But that is on the razor's edge in substantial part because Taiwan is not doing enough on its defense thus far. Good friends tell each other the truth when you have a serious thing coming. And the people who are saying all the nice things to you, when push comes to shove, they will criticize it, but they will not have the power to stop it.
Elbridge Colby, Trump's latest nominee for the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy. And this fool hates the CCP in his bones. But for some reason, 台灣新聞一直在說他要把台積電幹掉。是嗎？不是這樣啦，你是在靠北啦。
Fake news. It's fake.
Now, in case you haven't noticed, every member of Trump's new cabinet has a CCP in their crosshairs, except for one, Elon Musk.
Well, the sheer number of really smart, hardworking people in China is incredible. There are really, if you say like how many smart, hardworking people are there in China, there's far more of them there than there are here. I think, in my opinion. I mean, the architecture in China that's in recent years is far more impressive than the U.S. I mean, the train stations, the buildings, the high-speed rail, everything. It's really far more impressive than what we have in the U.S.
Huh, that's interesting. So what exactly does this have to do with the appropriations bill brought forth by Congress that Elon Musk was desperately trying to get shut down? Now, the writers in this bill are very interesting because the bill actually designates certain companies as being part of the Chinese military-industrial complex. And these are companies dealing in semiconductors, microelectronics, quantum information technology, specific AI systems, advanced cryptographic computing systems, AI systems for military or government surveillance, and next-generation fighter aircraft technology. And it basically says that any American or anyone with U.S. citizenship who has investments in these companies not only must notify the Secretary of Treasury, but must completely divest from these companies within 1 year of this bill passing. Why? Because it poses a national security risk. It just so happens that all these companies I listed fall right within the purview of Elon's Tesla, SpaceX, and AI Grok.
Weird.
Weird indeed, because while Elon was making up all that noise with those 90+ tweets, he didn't mention anything about this. But one thing was for sure, he wanted that bill shut down ASAP. Now, Now, this bill, which is authored almost entirely by Republicans but also approved by Democrats, was most likely preparing for Trump's administration as they're about to go ham on the CCP. And from Taiwan's perspective, that's a good thing.
Fuck them.
But after all that controversy and chaos, Congress went back and forth and revised the bill, and the ultimate version that got put on Biden's desk and was signed into law, along with several other clauses, conveniently left out the part regarding Americans invested in Chinese companies. Now, it is unclear whether or not Elon's whole fiasco influenced this decision, but it is convenient as fuck. Needless to say, the Democrats did not take too kindly to this.
We worked hard over the last several weeks, back and forth and back, to say we can accept this, we can't accept that. We will do this, we will do that. We worked hard. The Democrats are in the minority in this body. When you have the pen, which is what the Republicans have, they write the bill. They write the bill. They post the bill. They agreed on a bill. And you know what? They got scared because President Musk told them, President Musk said, don't do it. Don't do it. Shut the government down.
Now, like I said before, the federal government has a long history of fuckery, and the American people should do everything they can to keep their power in check. But Elon's involvement and seemingly interference in this whole thing raises a very interesting question.
Yeah, and I have always been concerned about this. I mean, he is receiving millions, billions of dollars from the U.S. government as a contractor. And so for him to play a role in that, in terms of cutting potentially, is problematic. And I do think they need to do something about the ethics here.
Yeah, I think we've already seen it come into play. Elon Musk attacking the 1,400-page spending bill, driving Donald Trump over the edge in his willingness to support it. I mean, this is the role of Doge. The reality is, I think you're going to expect to see that every single day of this administration. Elon Musk both looking into these agencies of where to cut, but to play that role also actively in every measure that goes through Congress. Does it pass the Elon Musk Doge test? And there's no public test. It's just, how does Elon Musk feel about it? And is he willing to turn Donald Trump's heart against these ideas? He's certainly done it once. I don't think we can expect that to be a one and done. I think that's going to be his role in this administration. I think that Elon Musk will use his role as a head of Doge and as a confidant of Donald Trump's to just antagonize government agencies and Congress every day.
So now Elon wields the power to cut budgets and also influence Trump's unofficial cabinet picks, posting to a platform he owns in order to influence policy and legislation. And just like Trump, my man loves social media.
Sources close to Trump tell the New York Post the president-elect is, quote, 100% serious about the United States acquiring the Panama Canal and the Danish territory of Greenland, meant to bolster American strategic interests in the great competition with China. As for Greenland, an acquisition that massive would be larger than the 1803 Louisiana purchase, which nearly doubled the size of the U.S. then. Melting Arctic ice is opening up new shipping lanes in Greenland and competition for rare earth minerals there. Greenland is a self-governing, autonomous island within Denmark. Trump floated acquiring it his first term. Greenland's government rejected the idea then, and it does now. The Danish Prime Minister's office would only say that it is, quote, looking forward to working with the new administration.
So Elon wants the government to be responsible for reckless spending, but the president, the man that he helped get elected, seems really eager to watch it, like buying Greenland. So in a future-like scenario when the Republican-controlled House and Senate decide they want to slide in rioters and pork belly spending, we just might see a showdown between the real-life Iron Man and the old man Orange Captain America. So if you ask me, it's only a matter of time before Trump's Red MAGA force squares off with Elon's Red Mars force. But what do you guys think? Did Elon risk a government shutdown just to save his China investments? Will he ever get in line with the Trump administration's anti-CCP and anti-China stands? Or ultimately, are we going to see a real-time government 大雞多條? Leave a comment down below, remember to like, subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side. Peace!